Tsunami alerts being issued today with some major earthquakes hitting all throughout the Pacific Ring of Fire. We're talking 6.0, 7.0, almost 8.0 earthquakes. Take a look at the latest headlines with me so you can see it for yourself. Today, October the 10th, 2025, Philippines earthquake over 20 tremors, life-threatening tsunami warning, live updates. I'm going to be covering this with you here. Take a look. Massive 7.8 magnitude earthquake strikes Drake Passage today, just a little while ago, just in the past hour or so, what we know so far. Also, take a look at this. Powerful 7.6 magnitude earthquake strikes off of the Americas. Philippines hit by a strong aftershock, tsunami warning after a 7.4 magnitude earthquake. At least 7 dead after Philippines hit by twin quakes. Tsunami warning up as well. And take a look. Office buildings shake as a 7.4 magnitude earthquake hits the southern Philippines. We're seeing, as they mentioned, earthquake after earthquake. And take a look at this. If you just Google earthquake, you can see 7.4 in the Philippines, 5.7 over here in Argentina, another 7.6 in Argentina, 6.7 in the Philippines, 6.3 in Papua New Guinea. Also a 5.9 in the Philippines, a 6.1 in Russia, a 5.5 in China, and a 5.5 over in China again. And that is all in roughly the last 24 hours. All of those October 9th and October 10th major earthquakes that have been hitting one after the other, and you saw 20 alone in the Philippines, and these are not small 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 earthquakes. We're talking 6, 7, 7.8 magnitude earthquakes striking in the last 24 hours. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We are seeing the world trembling right now. A lot of activity, and we received the warning. As you know, back in March of 2025, scientists had come out and said that they believe that the coronal mass ejections coming from the sun, the solar activity, is literally causing Earth's magnetic fields to cause the tectonic plates to shift and to move, and as a result, that we could see volcanoes erupting, the Ring of Fire moving, we could see earthquakes and a lot of activity taking place, and we received the warning that this weekend, as we entered in, that there was going to be more coronal mass ejections. So let me know, do you think the sun is causing these earthquakes and activity, tsunamis, volcanoes? If you think so, put yes. If you don't think so, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into the latest updates, the video footage, the articles, so that way you can see it for yourself. Excuse me, the articles. I don't have any video footage on the earthquakes. And I'm going to cite them in the description. I cite all of my sources. They're going to be hyperlinks, so you can click them, go read them for yourself, see the dates, where they're coming from. I'm going to put it on the screen, read right from it, so that way you can see it for yourself and know and rest assured that this is the latest information coming out about earthquakes hitting, mega earthquakes, today in the last 24 hours, October 10th, 2025. Now, if you appreciate that, before we dive in, do me a quick favor, take a second, hit that thumbs up, like button, helps out the channel a ton while we're live. In addition to that, to stay up to date on everything that's going on, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything going on. I did a live stream earlier today on some of the threats and the warnings being issued out by Russia to NATO. We're hearing that NATO is preparing for potential attacks as Russia violating airspace and actually hitting targets along the NATO border. We're hearing that there was actually bombers that hit a training facility nearby. So things are escalating significantly, from earthquakes to global conflict to peace agreements in the Middle East. I'm going to keep you up to speed on everything, all the breaking news. So hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. Hit that like button if you appreciate the updates. But let's go ahead and dive right in so that way you can get caught up on the latest and see what is going on, as we are hearing that the world right now is trembling. All right, so let's go ahead and start off with this 7.8 magnitude earthquake that struck by Drake Passage today, what we know so far. Now, this article says that a powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck in the Drake Passage on Friday today, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The quake's epicenter lies in the remote waters between South America and the Antarctic, where seismic activity is actually rare. So this is a rare location to have an earthquake, but we're having it, and it is a massive earthquake that we are seeing, almost an 8.0, which is sparking those tsunami alerts. Now, at this time, there are no confirmed reports of damage or casualties due to the quake's isolated location. Authorities are monitoring for possible tsunamis and aftershocks. We will issue alerts as needed. The Drake Passage tremor comes on the same day that a powerful 6.7 earthquake struck off of the coast of the Philippines, triggering a tsunami warning and prompting evacuations across multiple provinces. The tremor is part of a series of seismic events that have shaken the region in recent days, and like I said, over 20 in the Philippines alone. We are getting a lot of tsunami warnings right now, with some major earthquakes hitting over and over. And you can see this is down here between South America and Antarctica. That is where Drake's Passage is. As it says, Drake's Passage is the body of water between the southern tip of South America, known as Cape Horn, and the northernmost reaches of the Antarctic's South Shetland Islands. Spanning roughly 600 miles across, it connects the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean and is considered one of the most treacherous sea routes in the world. The passage is notorious for its powerful winds and strong currents and towering waves, conditions created by the unimpeded flow of the Antarctic circumpolar currents, named after the English explorer Sir Francis Drake. So that is the location where we saw this mega quake hit right there. It was a 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Now, let's take a look at this. It's going to give us a little bit more detail. This one says powerful 7.6 magnitude earthquake strikes off the Americas. A tsunami threat was issued for Chile after a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck the Drake Passage, the body of water separating South America and Antarctica. The U.S. Geological Survey detected the quake around 4:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. So again, just in the past couple of hours, initially measuring a magnitude 7.8 and later revised down to a 7.6. Okay, so they're now saying this is a 7.6. It originated at a depth of about 9 miles. The Pacific Tsunami Warning issued a tsunami alert 19 minutes later, warning that hazardous waves were possible along coasts within about 620 miles of the epicenter, particularly in Chile. No tsunami waves higher than 0.3 meters, about 1 foot, are expected for any coast. The center will continue monitoring nearby sea level gauges to confirm this forecast A530. So good news, they're saying that if there are tsunami waves, they won't be very big at all. The threat was canceled around 5:30 p.m. with the warning saying no tsunami waves higher than 0.3 meters or 1 foot are expected for any coast. The center will continue monitoring nearby sea level gauges to confirm this forecast. Officials said tsunami waves can take hours to reach coastal areas and advise residents to remain alert for updates. Authorities should continue to inform and instruct coastal residences as needed, the message said. And there you can see that location yet again, and it says the National Weather Service quickly issued an alert warning that tsunami impacts could vary depending on the coastline shape, elevation, and underwater topography, as well as the state of the tide when the waves arrive. The first wave was projected to reach Puerto Williams at 6:36 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on October 11th, tomorrow, followed by Punta Arenas at 2:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that same day. Chile's Hydrographic and Oceanographic Services of the Navy, or the SHOA, also released a statement Friday evening, placing most of the country's coast under informative status, indicating no immediate tsunami threat. However, the Chilean Antarctic territory was placed under precaution status, signaling the potential for minor tsunami activity. The agency said that its assessment was based on the worst-case scenario and reminded the public that a tsunami can last for hours, and that the first wave is not always the most destructive. Immediately after the earthquake hit, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center began closely monitoring sea level gauges along the Chilean coast and the deep ocean sensors across the South Pacific, analyzing real-time data for even slight fluctuations in water height that could indicate the development of a tsunami. When the instruments showed no significant changes in the sea level, confirming that the earthquake had not displaced enough water to generate a dangerous tsunami, the center downgraded its threat assessment. Friday's threat comes just months after Chile was forced to evacuate due to an incoming tsunami. On May 2nd, a 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck off of the coast of Argentina, triggering a tsunami warning. The quake hit around 124 miles south of Puerto Williams, which officials feared could see 9-foot tall waves. The SHOA estimated that the waves would reach bases in Antarctica and cities in Chile's extreme south in hours after the seismic activity. Video footage from the region showed civilians slowly making their way out of the danger zone. Now, another clip, this time taken from the city of Punta Arenas, showed scores of people evacuating the city alongside dozens of cars that were speeding out of the region. So that is that major 7.6, they're revising it down, that hit. Now, in addition to that, take a look at this. The Philippines as well getting hit with some major earthquake activity. Take a look. Philippines earthquake, over 20 tremors, life-threatening tsunami warning, live updates coming out today. A powerful earthquake struck off the coast of the Philippines on Friday today, triggering a tsunami warning and prompting evacuations across multiple provinces. The tremor is a part of a series of seismic events that have shaken the region in recent days. So here's what to know. The Philippine Seismological Agency reported a 6.9 magnitude quake. The USGS recorded it as a 6.7. Epicenter was located roughly 14 miles east-southeast of Santiago, Mindanao. The life-threatening tsunami warning was issued for Surigao del Sur, Davao Oriental, and Surigao del Norte. Residents were strongly advised to evacuate the higher ground or move inland. Now, boat owners were told to secure vessels or remain offshore in deep water. The first tsunami waves were expected by 9:12 p.m. local time and could continue for hours. The quake follows a larger 7.4 magnitude event that occurred earlier in the week as well. USGS has logged 59 earthquakes of magnitude 2.5 or more in the past 24 hours. So even including the small ones, there have been almost 60 earthquakes in the last 24 hours in that area. Most aftershocks are concentrated near Santiago, Bacolod, Manay, and San Ignacio. Additional seismic activity was reported in Micronesia, Papua New Guinea, Russia's Kuril Islands, and Banda Sea. And there you can see where that hit right there, those earthquakes. Man, one after the other. All of those dots are earthquakes that have been taking place. Tons of earthquakes hitting in the last 24 hours. And take a look at this. 20 minutes ago, twin earthquakes strike the southern Philippines, kill 5, and trigger tsunami alerts. Here's a recap. 2 powerful offshore earthquakes struck the southern Philippines within hours of each other on Friday, resulting in fatalities, structural damage, and widespread evacuations. The first quake was a magnitude 7.4 that hit near Manay town in Davao Oriental province, killing at least 5 people and prompting a tsunami warning that was later lifted. Landslides, hospital evacuations, and school damage were reported across the region. A second quake, primarily measured at a magnitude 6.9, followed Friday night and was linked to the same fault line, the Philippine Trench. Officials have not confirmed whether it was a separate event or an aftershock. Now, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. stated that the damage assessments and relief operations are currently underway. The region is still recovering from a deadly September quake and frequent typhoons, underscoring the Philippines' vulnerability to natural disasters. So there you have it, coming out 1 hour ago. Look at, because this is the live feed of everything that's going on right now in the Philippines, understanding aftershocks, what follows these major earthquakes, as we're hearing that one after the other is hitting in the Philippines. Take a look here from NBC News. Philippines hit by a strong aftershock. Tsunami warning after a 7.4 magnitude quake. People living near coastal areas in the south were strongly advised to immediately evacuate to higher ground or move further inland, the country's seismology agency has said. Now it says the Philippines, Manila, a powerful magnitude 7.4 earthquake struck offshore in the southern Philippines on Friday, killing at least 2 people, while towns near the epicenter suffered structural damage and authorities warned of strong aftershocks. The quake in waters off the town of Manay in the province of Davao Oriental triggered a tsunami alert for coasts within 186 miles of the epicenter. But the warnings for the Philippines and Indonesia were subsequently lifted. A strong aftershock of a magnitude 6.9 struck at around 7 p.m. local time, triggering a new tsunami alert warning. Now, with the country's seismology agency, Fivolok's warning of possible tsunami waves in the next 2 hours that could be more than 1 meter or 3.2 feet higher than normal tides. So again, for that one that was down in South America, they said that it was not going to potentially have very big tsunami waves, maybe just 1 foot or so. These ones, they're saying it could be a couple of feet high. So still not huge, but still, they said to be aware for the potential of these tsunami waves. People living near coastal areas in the southern Philippines were strongly advised to immediately evacuate to higher ground or to move further inland, it said in an advisory. There were initial reports of damage to homes, buildings, and bridges. One official in Manay said, although the full extent of the damage in the Philippines was not immediately clear. At least 2 people were killed, Civil Defense official Carlo Puerto said by telephone. Both in Matay City, close to where the quake struck, there were no other reports of casualties from regional disaster offices contacted by Reuters. The quake was among the strongest in recent years to hit the Philippines, which sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire and experiences more than 800 quakes each year. It came 2 weeks after the Philippines experienced its deadliest earthquake in more than a decade, with 74 people killed on the central island of Cebu following an offshore quake with a magnitude 6.9. A video posted on social media and verified by Reuters showed people in the city of Davao calmly holding on to parked vehicles that rocked from side to side as the ground shook as metal gates rattled nearby. Richie Dion, a disaster official in Manay, said that the quake lasted 30 to 40 seconds and damaged some homes and the facade of a church while leaving cracked roads and unpassable bridges. We couldn't stand earlier. I am 46 years old now, and this is the strongest earthquake that I have ever felt, he said by phone. Earlier, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said authorities were assessing the situation, and search and rescue teams would fan out once it was safe. We are working round the clock to ensure that help reaches everyone who needs it, he said in a statement. Now, the Fivolks warned of aftershocks as large as magnitude 6.4 and urged people in the affected areas to stay away from the shorelines. People in coastal areas had earlier been told to move inland or to seek higher ground. Verified footage from the southern Philippines showed workers filing out of buildings to gather in the streets, lamps swaying in shops and offices with toppled cabinets, and workers holding onto desks as structures and fittings around them cracked as well. Now, video images from Indonesia's island of Sulawesi showed fishing boats returning from sea and children playing on a beach from which water had receded. Now, the Fivols revised down the magnitude to a 7.4 from the initial figure of a 7.6 that put the quake's depth at 14 miles. The governor of Davao del Norte in the Philippines said that the people panicked when the earthquake struck. Some buildings were reported to have been damaged, said Edwin Jubahib to broadcaster DZMM. It was very strong. Manila, Philippines, 7.4 magnitude earthquake Friday morning off the southern Philippines damaged buildings, knocked out power, killed at least 1 person, and prompted evacuations of coastal areas nearby due to possible tsunamis. Thank you so much for the $50 super chat. I appreciate that a ton. FYI, pronounced Keisha G. Love how you stay on top of things. We can always count on you to bring the breaking news, and I appreciate all that you do, Steve. Thanks. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that a ton. Keisha G, thank you so much. And yes, I know that as these names pop up that I don't know how to pronounce, I just try to do my best, not get distracted from the article. Thank you for enunciating the pronunciation for me. I appreciate that. And thank you for your generosity. I appreciate that a ton. Reading on, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said the potential damage was being assessed and rescue teams and relief operations were being prepared and would be deployed when it is safe to do so. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology said that it was expecting damage and aftershocks from the earthquake, which was centered at sea about 38 miles southeast of Manay Town in Davos Oriental Province, and was caused by movement in the Philippines Trench at a depth of 14 miles. Jeff, thank you so much for the $4 super chat as well. Appreciate that a ton. At least one person died after being hit by falling debris in the south. Office of Civil Defense Deputy Administrator Bernardo Rafaelito Alejandro IV said in a news briefing without providing details. Several buildings sustained cracks in their walls, including an international airport in Davos City, but it remained operational without any flights being canceled, Alejandro said. I was driving my car when it suddenly swayed, and I saw power lines swaying wildly. People darted out of the houses and buildings as the ground shook and electricity came off. John Salvadera, a disaster mitigation officer of Governor Generoso Town in Davos Oriental, told the Associated Press by cell phone. And here you can see some images of that damage. Wow. Damaged mall in Butuan City in the southern Philippines today. Now, we've had earthquakes in the past, but this was the strongest, he said, adding that intense ground swaying caused cracks in several buildings, including schools. At least 50 students from a high school in his town were brought to a hospital by ambulance after sustaining bruises, fainting, or becoming dizzy due to the earthquake, he said. Now, Governor Generoso is a town about 62 miles south of Manay, where classes in all levels were also suspended. Children evacuated the schools in Davos City, which has about 5.4 million people and is the biggest city near the epicenter, about 155 miles west of Davos Oriental Province. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center in Honolulu said small waves were detected on the coasts of the Philippines and Indonesia before the threat passed about 2 hours after the quake. It said small sea fluctuations may continue. Alejandro warned that tsunami waves could hit 6 nearby coastal provinces from Davao Oriental up to 2 hours after the earthquake struck at 9:43 a.m. We urge these coastal communities to be on alert and immediately evacuate to higher grounds until further notice, he said in a video news briefing. Indonesia's meteorology, climatology, and geophysics agency said small tsunami waves were detected in northern Sulawesi province, with heights ranging from 1.3 to 6.7 inches in Malanguane, Bayo, Esang, and Janalo in the Tatlud Islands district. Now, the Philippines is still recovering from a September 30th earthquake with a magnitude of a 6.9 that left at least 74 people dead and displaced thousands of people in the central province of Cebu, particularly Bogo City and outlying towns. One of the world's most disaster-prone countries, the Philippines is often hit by earthquakes and volcanic eruptions because of its location on the Pacific Ring of Fire, an arc of seismic faults around the ocean. The archipelago also is lashed by about 20 typhoons and storms each year, making disaster responses a major task of the government and volunteer groups. Also Friday, an earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 6.0 struck Friday off of the coast of Papua New Guinea. The U.S. Geological Survey said that it was centered in the Bismarck Sea, 257 miles northeast of Lae, the South Pacific island nation's second most populous city. Lae police official Mary Jane Huafilong said no damage was reported. So there you have it, some major earthquakes coming out today, and you can see at least 7 people died in the Philippines, hit by twin quakes, tsunami warnings. Now, this coming out 15 hours ago when they had initially hit. And here's just some of the highlight key points. 7 people killed, some structures damaged. Tsunami warnings up following a second quake hours after the first tremor. Philippine president says search and rescue teams are being prepared. Tremors come 2 weeks after deadliest quake in a decade. Philippines experience on average 800 quakes a year, and we're hearing over 60 hit in the last 24 hours, 20 of them major tremors. And again, we're talking 6.0, 7.0, and we are also seeing, as I mentioned, down over by the Drake's Passage, a 7.8. And here is another article. Office buildings shake as a 7.4 magnitude earthquake hits the southern Philippines. You can see this coming out today, October the 10th. And again, all you really got to do right now is just Google earthquakes, and you will see all of the activity that is taking place. Major earthquakes, like I said, these are not 2, 3, 4.0. These are some serious quakes. And look at the dates: October 9th, October 10th, October 10th, October 10th, October 9th, October 9th, October 9th, October 9th. One after the other after the other. This does not even get into what's going on in Papua New Guinea, China, or Russia as well. A lot of earthquakes taking place in Russia, and you can see 7.8 tsunami, 7.8 earthquake in Drake Passage, 7.4 in the Philippines. Lots of earthquakes hitting one after the other. So, man, right now the earth is trembling around that Pacific Ring of Fire. So just wanted to share with you guys the latest updates as we had these major earthquakes coming out, several tsunami warnings that have been issued. But right now we're hearing that luckily there has not been any major tsunamis that have hit. And I'd say just keep our world in prayer right now with all the things going on. And if you're a praying individual, you believe in prayer, drop a praying hands in the comments. I know we have a strong believer community here on the channel, and I will continue to keep you up to date as more comes out, because there is a lot taking place in our world right now, as we just saw a nearly 8.0 almost strike in the last 24 hours, along with some other major serious earthquakes hitting. So like I said, I will keep you up to date here on the channel as more comes out. All these articles are going to be linked in the description. Hit that thumbs up like button for me if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.